see you. So welcome to our annual general meeting. It's a great opportunity for us to look at a review of 23-24, all of the things that we've achieved during the year, some of the challenges that we've had, and we have a couple of presentations for you today which I hope you find interesting. So going to start off with an introduction from myself and Bookie, a review of the year. With a bit of luck, when I press this button, right? Yeah? See, this happened last year.
Tradition.
Yes, it is.
Sounds okay.
I do.
Yeah. Pong.
So it's not Janet's ability to press a button.
It always works in rehearsal.
It does.
It always works in rehearsal.
Oh, there's Russell trying to come in.
Welcome to our review of the year 2023-24. Another truly outstanding year for Combined and its people. On 31st of March 2024, North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare reached its 30th year of existence, having been established on 1st of April 1994. This was a significant milestone and a time to look back with pride. Although each annual report and review mainly covers a single year, it is worth putting some of our year-on-year performance and achievement in context.
By the 31st of March 2024, the Trust had delivered its 25th consecutive year of delivering financial balance, the entirety of the current century. We had completed our 5th year of being rated outstanding by the Care Quality Commission. And we had continued a proud record of innovation and growth, with further new services, new facilities, new teams, and sustainable modest expansion, particularly into primary care services.
To highlight just a few of the specific examples which are contained in our new annual report, which we're publishing today, the success of our Wellbeing College, co-produced and delivered in partnership with service users and stakeholder organisations, has been a particular highlight of the year. We celebrated our home treatment team achieving the Royal College of Psychiatrists Quality Network accreditation for crisis resolution and home treatment. We were also delighted to be winners of Placement of the Year, Exemplary Placement Provider and Kiel Alumni Achievement titles in the Kiel University Annual Awards. The Primary Care Directorate expanded during 2023-24 to include talking therapies for Stoke-on-Trent and the North Staffordshire and Mental Health Rs roles, having a team of approximately 240 across the various services and supporting an integrated approach to primary care provision. We expanded our general practices in 2023-24 with the integration of Kiel practice based on the Kiel University campus, adding to the existing general practice provision of Moorcroft Medical Centre based in Stoke-on-Trent and Homecroft Surgery situated in Stafford. And we delivered further historic capital investment in our medium-term future as we continue to eradicate dormitory accommodation and shared bathroom facilities as part of a major capital upgrade at Harplands Hospital, Project Chrysalis.
At the same time as we celebrate the past, the Trust also continued to look to the future as we launched our 5-year strategy and 3 strategic priorities: prevention, access and growth. Supporting and advancing research and innovation are things that are dear to our heart, and we are proud that this is an annual report full of examples of our continuing success in this regard. One thing we keep constantly in mind is that strategies, plans and aims are nothing without brilliant, talented, determined and compassionate people to make them a reality. If there is one major theme that has run throughout everything we have done this year, it has been our unwavering commitment to protecting and promoting the health and well-being of everyone for whom we have responsibility, staff and service users.
In this regard, one of the most welcome things we saw this year was the results of the NHS staff survey, which showed us yet again to have maintained our record of being amongst the highest scoring trusts in the NHS, with above average scores in all the NHS People Promise domains. Over the course of the year, we welcomed new members to our trust board and said goodbye to some long-serving leaders, not least our chair, David Rogers. David's contribution to combined healthcare was second to none and will always be remembered with fondness and gratitude by all at the Trust. David's role was taken up from 1st of April by our existing Vice Chair, Janet Dawson, ushering in an exciting new chapter for Combined. Tragically, we also lost a dear friend and long-standing servant at Combined in our Chief People Officer, Paul Draycott, who passed away in January 2024. Paul was truly and deeply loved by so many of us at Combined. He was the living embodiment of everything that is good about the NHS and his chosen profession, developing and caring for its people.
We hope you enjoy reading our new annual report. It really has been another remarkable year for North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare NHS Trust. And we would like to share with you this new film which we have produced to highlight some more of our achievements. quality of the services we deliver, absolutely at the heart of everything we do. So Kenny, who's our chief nurse, is going to take us through the quality review of the year. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you very much. So I'm still of the age where I believe that a PowerPoint is cutting edge. So I'm doing a more analogue version of what you've just seen for the quality account. So to start with, what is a quality account? Well, a quality account is something that we publish at exactly the same time as we do our annual report on accounts. And it's incredibly important, obviously, because we are an organisation that is driven by quality. So pretty much everything that you will see, whether it's in this report actually, or the annual report, talks to quality, and something we're very proud of. So you can see the narrative here, but essentially it boils down to what I've just said. In terms of our quality priorities, we use our quality priorities of safe, personalised, accessible and recovery focused, and that plays across in this presentation. One thing I would say is that this is just a snapshot, so I would commend the quality account as you'd expect me to, and even things that we've referred to in the annual accounts, they are driven by quality. So Project Chrysalis, which you've just heard about, the real purpose of Project Chrysalis is about privacy and dignity and safety for people who use our inpatient services. And dormitory provision and eliminating dormitory provision is absolutely all about quality. So although it appears as a capital expenditure, if you're an accountant, it really is about driving quality. So picking out some of our priorities, starting with safe, we've implemented a new system, a national system from learning from clinical incident and patient safety incidents this year. We've continued to learn lessons across the organisation. Where things go wrong, we want to acknowledge that. We want to apologise for that if we have to, when we should, and we want to make sure that we learn lessons and we continue to do that. In terms of safer staffing, we've continuously ensured we've got good processes in place for measuring safer staffing, and we've invested a huge amount of money in terms of ensuring that we've got good workforce supply, and we're embedding systems and processes to make sure we use our staffing effectively. We've moved away from a historic way of managing and working with patients with mental health conditions to a much more person-centred approach around care planning, which has been really important this year. And at the same time, we've also started to implement patient outcome measures, which are really important for us to be able to measure and review with service users how our interventions are working. Again, it's a really important part of modernising, I guess, some of our processes to make sure that they're really responsive to people's needs and recovery focused. And then finally, we've really pushed on our staff retention this year to make sure that not only are we training the right amount of clinical staff members, we're also doing lots of work on retaining them to make sure we don't have that leaky bucket syndrome where we're pouring lots in at the top but we're losing people to other organisations or outside the NHS. The second priority is about being personalised, and again we've referred this to in the video. Lots of work around co-production, making sure that we are working with people who use our service in a co-produced way. Recovering into peer recovery role, so employing people on the basis of their lived experience, and also making sure that our governance processes, so our safety incident reviews, are also around using people's skills around lived experience, so things like patient safety partner roles. We've embedded culture, systems and processes to support co-production, so we've got our 5th term of the Wellbeing College that we had at the end of last year. We've expanded our numbers of courses for people with lived experience to come and learn together with staff members around what helps them in terms of their recovery. And we've embedded and co-produced things like the CHIME model, which again is really helpful in terms of shaping how we work together with people in co-production. The next quality priority being accessible. So we've had lots of work with voluntary organisations and partners around things like community lounges, around the Cheshire Equine Psychotherapy Project, essentially acknowledging that we can't provide effective mental health and learning disability services on our own. We have to do it in partnership, and that's hugely important, and it's really something that we're proud of and we've really accelerated under the Community Transformation Programme. We're increasing our use of digital technology with communities, again to make sure that we're accessible to and meet people's needs, and that we're digital first, but we obviously adapt that depending on people's digital literacy, which is really important. And then the sustaining quality improvement. So quality improvement, really empowering staff members, service users and people working in clinical and corporate services to improve and refine how they and what they do from day to day and in day-to-day practice. A really good example was around reducing restrictive practice quality improvement project that we did last year around reducing restrictive practice in mental health wards, and we saw a really good improvement post-intervention. And then priority 4, in terms of being recovery focused, again we've started to do real work on our health inequalities approach and to make sure that we are tackling some of the inequalities that our populations face. For example, continued improvement in uptake of physical health checks for people with learning disability and serious mental illness, and that's as a result of real inequalities in terms of people's morbidity when they have those conditions. Further growth of mental health support teams as an example, and an expansion of parent and baby services. And then finally, on recovery focused, continue to enhance our evidence-based interventions. So you've got some examples there of the things that we've been doing. A really good example is around the expansion of the ED service, which is seeing people, children, young people and young adults with unusual experiences, and making sure that they get the access to any interventions that require, which is incredibly important. And again, other services have continued to expand and deliver those NICE-based interventions throughout the year. So that's a very quick snapshot of what happened last year and the things that we were proud of in terms of quality from last year. And then looking forward to this year, and some of these things have already started. These were the quality priorities that we co-produced with service users, an engagement event. We tested these out with people who use our services and our partners around what the priorities might look like. And you can see the details of those here. Making sure that we continue to focus on quality, we can continue our relentless transformation and improvement programs, and really important in terms of making sure we don't take our eye off the ball. And finally, happy to pick up any questions that colleagues might have, but I commend the quality account to you, and you can find it on our website alongside our annual report and annual accounts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenny. And that was a very high-level review. Do commend the quality account to you, and as Kenny said, it's available on the website. So we're now going to look at another important aspect of what we do, which is the finance and performance review of the year from our Chief Finance Officer. Thank you, Eric.
Oh, it works. Thank you, Gemma. So I'm going to introduce you all to Fred, and he's going to show us a quick video of our review of the year.
Hello, it is Fred here. Fred stands for Finance and Resource Expert in Delivery. 23-24 was another successful year for North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare in terms of its financial performance. As an NHS trust, we have a statutory duty to break even each year and not make a financial loss. We agreed to a fixed system funding envelope with our integrated care system partners, with a plan to break even. We are delighted to report that we overachieved our target and delivered a small surplus of £320,000. This is the 25th consecutive year the Trust has delivered a financial surplus. Our total operating income in 23-24 was £167.5 million. Our income comes from several sources including integrated care boards, NHS England and local authorities. So what did we spend this on? Day-to-day spending on our operations is classed as revenue expenditure, and in 23-24 our total operating expenditure was £172.3 million. Each year we invest in assets which have an economic life of greater than 1 year. This is referred to as capital. This would usually include expenditure on new buildings, improving our existing building, buying equipment, or updating and extending our IT infrastructure. In 23-24 we spent £3.5 million on capital. The Trust continued to invest in the Harplands Hospital as part of a long-term project to eradicate dormitories, known as Project Chrysalis, and enhanced our network devices and maintained our properties. As with all NHS trusts, the budget we have is limited, so we need to make sure that every pound is spent wisely. All NHS trusts must deliver efficiency, and we have systems and processes in place to ensure that any transformation doesn't compromise safety. Our Chief Medical Officer and Chief Nursing Officer make sure savings don't affect safety and quality through an independent quality impact assessment process. We delivered £6.6 million of efficiencies in 23-24. The Trust aims to achieve the Better Payment Practice Code to pay at least 95% of invoices in terms of volume and value in 30 days. During the year, the Trust paid 95% of invoices in terms of volume in 30 days, and 96% of invoices in terms of value in 30 days. The Trust remained within the external finance limit and capital resourcing limits. The external finance limit is a limit on the net external cash the Trust can spend from that generated by its activities. The capital resource limit is the amount the Trust has available to spend on capital projects. So a huge thanks to all of you who have made 23-24 another great year for combined healthcare. We all have a part to play in this, and we should all take credit from this success. Thank you.
So thank you, Fred. And thank you to the comms team, because they put this video together. And thank you to the finance team for, excuse me, for putting the words together and actually just doing the accounts. We've got an excellent track record in the organisation of doing accounts, and last year was no exception. And actually it's probably one of the best that we've done in recent years, so fantastic result. I just wanted to take the opportunity though to talk a little bit about the future, because that was always about the past. So this is about looking towards this year and beyond. We work as part of the integrated care system, and in the system that's not looking as rosy as what it is for our organisation. So we started the year with a planned deficit of £90 million, which was accepted by NHS. £90 million was roughly what we outturned at as a system last year, and that is predicated on delivering £200 million worth of savings. And to give some context, that's round about 8% of savings for the system, so exceptionally high, and that contains around £80 million of risk. So certainly a challenging year. Capital funding as well is extremely scarce at this moment in time. It's in the press on almost a daily basis, and it's quite apt that we're doing our AGM today on the day that the independent review of the NHS is being published by Lord Darcy. Because whilst we know we've got a change of government now, we know there isn't particularly any new money to come into the system. So that just sets a bit of a context on where we are as a system. As an organisation, however, things look a little bit brighter. So Combined plan to at least, break even again this year. However, that's predicated on us also delivering £6.4 million of savings, which I'm pleased to report we are well on track to do. One of the other noticeable changes this year is agency costs are meant to reduce. The target last year was 3.7%, which we failed spectacularly as an organisation. However, we have really firm plans in place, and it's really pleasing to report to people that actually we are below 3.2% as at last month. So an excellent result that requires a lot of people to make a lot of changes in a relatively short space of time. And I suppose the last point there just goes back to the Darcy report of today, where we know productivity is going to be key for the NHS to be in a better place for the next few years. And we know there's going to be a big focus on how we monitor it and measure it. It's a bit more difficult in mental health, it has to be said, compared to our acute colleagues. But there are plans afoot, and they are due to be launched late this month, early next month. We'll see if that happens, and obviously we will be part of that, and we will pilot anything that comes out. But all of this work in finance can't be done without all the rest of my colleagues around the table and the rest of the colleagues in the organisation. It is a tremendous effort for everybody to deliver the financial performance. It's not about me. I don't spend the money. It's about everyone else, and the trust has got just a brilliant attitude to it, and we do an amazing job, and the results speak for themselves. So I will leave it there and hand it back to you, John.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll try not to stop it in its tracks. So part of the purpose of the annual general meeting is to approve these reports and accounts. So you've had a brief overview, and obviously the information has been made available online. So I would ask the meeting to approve the annual report and accounts for 23-24.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So we now have those approved. Thank you very much. And I'd just like to echo Eric's thanks to the finance team for the work that they've done in terms of preparing the accounts and these reports. And also to all of the staff in the organisation who are part of our success. We don't do anything on our own. The board is almost irrelevant to the delivery of the services that we offer in the organisation, and it's so important that we recognise everybody's contribution. So I must thank everybody for the work that they've done under challenging circumstances and against a background of a general feeling that the NHS is somehow not able to deliver. You've seen today that we are able to deliver, and it's very important that we continue to focus on that. So there's an opportunity now for questions. Oh, sorry, another button press. So this is your opportunity. Thank you.
Everybody's so shy. A quick question on the quality accounts. How do you indicate and how do you measure that PROMS is superior to the CPA approach? That's the quick one on that, and it's very specific. And if I can, I'll come back on other issues if that's okay.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the care programme approach is the historical approach for care planning, which mental health services have had in place for probably 25 or so years. And it was much more about actually a management of patients, as we would have referred to it as historically. The new care planning system is much more about being person-centred, and much more focused on people's description of their needs rather than being told that what their needs are. So much more person-centred and much more recovery-focused. Part of the problems, that's patient-reported outcome measures, what they tend to do is ask people to describe, using a bit of structure about what their issues are and where they see their needs being. Some might be about symptom control, some may be about social relationships, housing, eating, nutrition, lots of different avenues for people to do. But the new approach is about empowering people to tell us about where they see their issues are, and us supporting them in that journey. So therefore, the hope is that people would be empowered to do that, and then we would be able to match our service offer to what people feel their key issues are and what their priorities are in terms of their own recovery. So it's a slightly different way of undertaking care planning, and we're really hopeful that it'll have a real meaningful impact with people feeling engaged and empowered to talk about actually what matters to them and how we can support them in their recovery journey. So it's about being much more recovery focused rather than prescriptive about what we will do for them. It's about what can we do to help support people's recovery.
Does sound as though it's going to be very, very resource intensive in comparison. Is that view quite correct?
So we're early in the journey, I think, in terms of implementing this new way of care planning and reporting patient outcome measures. We don't think there's a significant difference in terms of resource, but again, we'll evaluate that as we go. We're sort of a year into that programme, and actually nationally mental health services are as well. So we haven't anticipated any additional resource requirements, but we'll continue to review it.
Okay. Right, your partnership work, and you mentioned partnership work, and you also work in partnership with obviously primary care, social care, the statutory agencies, including the Acute Trust. Some years ago, there was a semi-directive from NHS England that Acute Trust and Mental Health Trust should coordinate via liaison psychiatry and liaison nurses, and actually there was kind of formula for how many liaison mental health nurses there were needed per Acute Trust and how many liaison psychiatrists were needed. And we do know that a person who has complex needs, who attends, let's say, a Royal Stoke A&E, might deal with the physical side quite well, but they don't seem to deal with the mental health side quite well. And people can tend to be stuck in an A&E in a room awaiting or prompting a mental health trust. And I know Tracy Bullock mentioned this. She was the previous chief executive at Royal Stoke. At a meeting earlier this year, there have been meetings with combined healthcare. Are we going to see an improvement in that liaison? Because I have picked up situations where people have been stuck. I'm not apportioning blame, you know, have been stuck because different systems can't seem to coordinate. And that is no blame being attached there, and are in the wrong place and can deteriorate. And there's another side to the quality account. As the chief executive knows, at ICBs, several times I've raised women having to transfer out of the area because there aren't acute beds for women in our area. How is that? I brought this up at the last AGM. Is that still a problem? Because it seems to be. And is this going to be addressed? Are we talking about the future?
Yeah, so if I come back. So we do have a 24/7 service mental health liaison team that's based, they've got a physical base at Royal Stoke ED, but they're also very much linked in with our crisis care centre in ED, and that was one of the teams that actually got the Royal College of Psychiatrists accreditation to show that it meets the national standards. However, we do know that they have seen a considerable increase in their demand over the past 12 months. And we currently have a bid in for some additional funding to increase the size of that team this year. I think we do need to be clear that they can't deal with everything. So if you can be treated there and then or referred onto our services, you're completely in the control of combined. Okay. Where people require detention under the Mental Health Act, we require an approved mental health practitioner, which is not provided by us, it's provided by the local authority. So it can introduce a delay because you've got to get two approved doctors under the Mental Health Act together with this approved mental health practitioner and get them all together. Okay. So that can, and that's outside of our control, but we are working with our partners to increase the number of those. And we are aware of some challenges where people are not from within the Staffordshire area. So that is a particular challenge for UH&M, so where there are Cheshire patients.